Hey everybody, Marty and Andrew here. Andrew, PSX is over, but there's still one more piece of business to get to. Final Fantasy 7.
Probably the biggest news of the show.
Probably the biggest news of the show. We have the remake trailer that was the second thing they showed during the conference. It was awesome looking. The action gameplay, everything was cool. But then news broke late Sunday night that the game is going to be a multi-part series.
And that exact expression is all they said. There were no, like at the time of that announcement, there were no other details, not really a clue into how that would work.
And so when I read that, me and a lot of people on the internet thought, like, is the game episodic? Is this going to be a bunch of 5-hour chunks? Is this going to be like Life is Strange or like a Telltale game?
And it also made me think of episode Duske. Like, is that going to be that kind of downloadable quick experience, or is it going to be kind of a like Final Fantasy 13, where like there's 13, there's 13-2, there's Lightning Returns that are distinct games, but still part of their own kind of separate universe.
Story. Yeah. So, but then they clarified to Kotaku early this morning that yes, it is the former.
Yeah, I think we have that quote. I have a lot of paper in front of me.
News.
No, we don't.
News.
Oh, here we go. They said, as a gaming experience, each entry will have the volume of content equal to a full-size game.
Okay, so that leads me to believe it's not going to be episodic. It is going to be a multi-part series, like you said, a la Lightning. So let's unpack this a little bit.
Sure.
Is this a good idea?
So I'm of two minds. Part of me, like, I think that if this had been one massive Final Fantasy game, Final Fantasy 7 with everything that was there before and all of the new stuff that they want to add, I think it wouldn't have come out until 2019.
Yep.
This way, we will probably be playing this partway through next year.
Yeah.
That to me is very exciting. So that part of it I think is really cool. On the other hand, the idea that if there are 2 or 3 of these, it's going to be 120, 180 bucks theoretically to play through this full experience, that to me is less exciting. I do think that's a little weird, and I think, like, obviously this is something people have been asking about for years. People have wanted an HD remake of 7, but I don't know if they quite wanted this, you know?
Yeah, it's really interesting. I mean, we don't know things. We don't know how far apart they're going to be. We don't know how much they're going to be. But the thing that sort of worries me is that unlike, say, a Telltale game or even something like Half-Life, an RPG, if an RPG ends at a moment and you're not able to come back to the next moment for another year or two, you are totally out of the ebb and flow of the game.
Mechanically and story-wise.
Our character is going to transfer over. Is my level 31 Cloud equipped with X materia and Y weapon going to be that same character who starts part 2?
Well, and that's why, so this is what's interesting to me. So I hate to compare it to 13, it's just the closest kind of analog that we have.
Absolutely.
But so in 13, obviously you're playing, you know, you have kind of your core party of like Lightning and Snow and everybody. But then in 13-2, you play as Noel and Sarah. And so character levels didn't really have to transfer over because you're playing as a different party.
Yeah.
And then in Lightning Returns, you're Lightning again, but it's kind of a different circumstance. It's interesting, like when they say, so the other thing I guess we didn't say is that they referred to these episodes as their own unique experience. And they're talking about visiting areas of Midgar you didn't see before. I almost wonder if it's like, yeah, in the first game, it is more of the typical Final Fantasy 7 experience. Maybe you're playing someone else in the other games, or maybe they're kind of messing with the formation of your party. I do think it's really interesting. One of the quotes we have in here that came out of some, there was interviews in Famitsu and a few other Japanese sites last night. I do find it really interesting that Nomura said there may be parts that are cut from the original version for various reasons.
Yeah, which is interesting. Immediately what came to mind was the cross-dressing scene. That was the honeybee, where Cloud has to dress up as a woman in order to get into this sort of weird...
But they said that's still in there.
They said that's still in there, so I'm like, okay, well, if that's not being cut, then I think it's...
Then what is?
Yeah, then I think it's sort of fair game.
And that almost makes me wonder if they'll maybe focus on... It's like so weird, but it's like maybe you focused almost entirely on Cloud in the first game and then focus on other party members.
We haven't seen Aerith yet. We haven't seen Tifa yet.
And that's what's interesting. Yeah, we've seen a lot of Barret and a lot of Cloud.
Yeah.
And so it's almost like maybe episode 1 does focus more on them. But it's interesting because like obviously Final Fantasy 7 was originally on discs. And it's like my initial gut reaction to this was, oh, they'll just split it where the discs were split into 3 separate episodes. If they are full games, I wonder what that looks like.
Yeah, I don't know. It's really interesting. Like part of me thinks that whatever the first game is going to be, it's going to be Midgar. It's going to end with you leaving Midgar.
Well, and also it's that kind of thing where like we kind of have clues already based on what they have shown. Like we have so much of Midgar already, so much of Cloud, so much of Barret. Like very safe bet that is what we are seeing in episode 1. The fact that we haven't seen Aerith, haven't seen Tifa, it's like maybe that is some stuff coming later. And obviously they've done a lot. You know, we've had Advent Children, we've had Crisis Core. There have been a lot of kind of like
there's been a pretty big 7 universe that's had hits and misses, and the same thing with you know, the Fabula Nova Crystallis, which sort of petered off near the end. Yeah, really interesting. I'm very curious to see the next time we see this leading into 2016, along with more of, obviously, Final Fantasy 15 and Kingdom Hearts 3. We're going to have so much more on Final Fantasy 7 Remake in the coming years/decades.
It's like Star Wars, where there's just going to be like 2 every year now, forever.
We'll be dead by the time we get to Crater. So for everything else Final Fantasy 7, you're already in the right place, IGN.